Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, I've been busy, like ridiculously busy, just with real life, trying to juggle everything, and with games. And I, got the chance to run the Veil very recently for Same Old G, which was great. And tonight I'm going to be running our first session of Lamentations of the Martian Princess, and then we might do some All for One this weekend. I'm not really sure what's going to happen yet. However, I'm going to do an unusual video today. And I actually really talk about me for a second because I always say this is a channel about me. But I wanted to answer a question by Randal Glyph. And he specifically he was asking about my avoiding game speed video. It really wasn't about the video, but he says, how do you manage to keep coming up with these extemporized 13-minute long videos one after the other? It's kind of embarrassing that they're 13 minutes long or longer. Is it just a matter of thinking up a list of possible topics and bullet pointing their key issues, then turning on the camera? And is there a trick to reading and mastering all these disparate systems? So I'll answer both those questions to the best of my ability, and hopefully less than 13 minutes. The first one is, I don't know. I guess I've always been a little bit of a ham. However, I'm not the smartest guy, not the sharpest tool in the shed, and all that sort of stuff. I think one of the things I do relatively well is like see patterns and things and coming up with some kind of synthesis of various ideas. And to be honest with you, what's happened is the more I've played, the more I've talked to other people, the more engaging conversations I've gotten into, and the more I've had my thinking challenged. And then, having experiences at the same time, I start to think about various topics relating to role-playing. And sometimes I write stuff down, sometimes I just mull it over, as I'm going about my day. And when I'm doing something boring, I really don't want to think about that. And I start coming up with, just ideas. I'll jot down a bunch of topics. Sometimes it's feast or famine. I have nothing to talk about, in which case, that's merciful because I don't make any videos and you have to sit through them. Or other times I have so many things that are rattling around my brain, I'll throw stuff down. Sometimes I will actually make a little bit of an outline for myself. But that never really goes that well. I look back at those videos and I always just seem a little bit disjointed. Sometimes the best, or I have the best success with kind of just thinking about a subject for a little while and kind of having, I don't know, an outline in my head, but just kind of a flow of thought, what prompts what other thought. And so I'm not sure if they're any good, but sometimes, I just turn on the camera and there it goes. Other times I have some kind of little, maybe it's just words. That usually goes better if I have just a bullet point of some words or some basic concepts. If I actually try to write something down then read it, it doesn't go quite as well. But what you don't see is all the outtakes. I made an outtake video a long time ago, called "This Isn't as Easy as It Looks, Kids," and it's just a bunch of outtakes. Now I usually delete a bunch of the takes, and I suppose if I made another outtake video, it'd be kind of funny. It would be a little bit of work, and there'd probably be a lot of F-bombs in it, because that's what tends to happen at one point or another when I realize, this is really not going as well as I thought it did. So that's what you don't see is all the failures. And there's times I look at my iPad and I finally have the one that I'm satisfied with. And there's 13 videos before that. Usually it's not that many. It's one or two. Sometimes I'm turning on the camera and I'm trying not to laugh because I'm like, I don't want to screw this up one more time. And I'm still laughing about whatever the heck it is I said the last time. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. I'm not averse to technology and actually editing videos and stuff like that, but I don't have a lot of time. Usually I have enough time to actually sit here, blather for a little bit, and then upload the video and run. So I love to make more professional looking videos, do things like CGA or really annotated videos like Runesinger. I really like his density of information, but oftentimes I just lack the time or the patience to actually go ahead and do that. I'm just kind of vomiting something out and then going. So that's kind of how I do that. And you be the judge whether it's any good or not. The second thing is, is there a trick to reading and mastering all these disparate systems? And this is I guess personal to a certain extent. I'm not sure if I have some kind of ADHD or whatever, but it's very, very difficult for me to concentrate these days. And it could be a function of age as well. I'm not really sure. But I used to be a very voracious reader. For some reasons that I know what they are, like it's harder for me to read and concentrate now, so sometimes it is a bit of a challenge. One of the things though that helps is you can start to see there's patterns. There's things that these games tend to do in a similar manner, and then you can see where they start to do something in a less similar manner. The other thing is there's so much information out there on the internet now. You have to wade through the bad information, but generally you can find people that you respect that have kind of looked at these systems as well, ask them some questions. You know, sometimes just see their videos where they kind of read the book to you. I'm not into that sort of thing, if you know what I mean. You know, go ahead and read the book for yourself. But if you have a problem with something, or if there's some little bit about the mechanics, sometimes it's just somebody promoting that particular game, and they say, well, this is how the mechanic works. You know, I've been intrigued by games that way. Then I've gone and read them. Once I had like a little bit of a taste or like a teaser, like, man, that's kind of an interesting mechanic, or that's an interesting way that they're skinning the cat, so to speak, because that's what these systems really are. Is they're different ways to get at some of the same conclusions, you know, with different feels. They produce different effects, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know if there's a trick to it. I think it's just a matter of kind of, you know, categorizing. Once again, I think it's probably just a strong point of mine, is I can start to see patterns, I can start to synthesize various things, I can see the connections, and I can see the differences between things. And sometimes I can see, well, geez, this is going to produce this effect, that's going to produce that effect. What effect is this thing going to produce? Let's find out. So it's a matter of just being interested in, I guess, that part of the hobby, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if it's a trick, or it's just, you know, following your interests. So yeah, so that's a little bit of a video about me. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but, you know, I'm not much, but I'm all I ever think about. Have a good one, kids.